All right. I'm gonna do quite a bit of tasks in here. So first task is gonna be to add to your stories. Do it on Instagram and Facebook. And if you do a personal one or a funny one now, we're gonna do a business one later. So yeah, we're gonna take 5 minutes and add to your stories. And I'm gonna play a video while we're doing that. And
ordinary mom who said, I want to drastically transform my son's future. The power of I am can pull you through the darkest moment.
As you're creating success, create holistic success.
Have a small change over 30 days. And a small change over 30 days, your breakthrough will come in needlepoint moves. At some point, I have to stop asking, can I be great? Can I be brilliant? You have to disrupt that soil in order to plant a new seed to grow a new fruit. There's not one line of business that you can be in that a story and a great story won't elevate your outcome. Wealth is possessions and money. Abundance is a 360 experience. I look at my life and I wasn't supposed to be who I am today.
She's an author, life coach, and motivational speaker. She's the founder and CEO of Motivating the Masses. She's also a best-selling author of 6 books. She's Lisa Nichols, and here are her top 10 rules for success.
I'm Amy, and this is Piper. Say hi, Piper. Get on here now. Okay, so we're about to get savage up in here, because I'm going to tell you how to make tons of money.
I struggled all through school. The last time I took English class, I got a fail. And my English teacher said I was the weakest writer she ever met in her entire life. The last time I took a speech class, same year, I got a D- in speech. And my speech teacher said, Lisa, quote unquote, I recommend you never speak in public, that you get a desk job. So that was the beginning of my life. That was my 19-year-old experience. And then I go on and I'm trying to figure it out. I was obedient. I went and got a job in accounting. I was in the collection department. For 7 years, y'all don't know I'm dangerous to accounting. I'm just dangerous. And I'm in collections, and you know, you should never put a broke person in collections. Never, because everybody's reasons sound good to me. I sound funny, but it was real. Not only did I say, girl, don't you worry about paying that, I'm gonna take your name off the list. Somebody went to jail because I got fired from 5 different jobs. And then I got pregnant with my son unexpectedly. And then at 8 months, my son's father went to prison. I had to get on government assistance to have my baby. I was on WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, to feed my child. And when my son was 8 months old, I went to the ATM to get $20 out the bank because I didn't have any Pampers for him. And in order to get $20 out, you got that $20 in. I had $11.42. And I still can't tell the story without getting emotional because it's my story. For 2 days, I had to wrap my son in a towel. But something happened, Steve, in those 2 days. I was at rock bottom. I was broke, and I was broken. Inglewood, California. My son laying on his back at 8 months. I have a towel over him, and I have my hand on his stomach saying, don't you worry, Jelani. Mommy will never be this broke again. And I made a decision. I was bankrupt. And every stinking thinking I had, I was bankrupt and trying to protect my pride. I was bankrupt and trying to be all that in a bag of chips and a bowl of grits falsified. I was bankrupt and trying to not ask anyone for help. I was bankrupt in everything that was holding me and keeping me where I was. I've always talked a good game, but I wasn't doing anything with my gift. And all that thing about potential, I was tired of having potential. I wanted to have my now. And I looked at that baby at 8 months and I said, I want to transform your life because you didn't ask to come into this chaos. As an African-American male child in South Central Los Angeles with a single mother whose father's in prison, he had a 66% chance of going to prison himself. Not on my watch. Not.
All right, I'm gonna pause that. Task 2 and 3 I'm gonna put together. One is do all the birthdays if you haven't already, and then if you have, then do an interaction post. Christina Watts was saying last night that we need more interaction posts on our walls, so I'm going to try and do one in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. And so we're going to do that for the next few minutes because she's getting all the people. So I want to get all the people too. So task 2 and 3 I'm putting in together, and it's birthdays if you haven't done them, which I haven't because it's been a crazy morning, and then an interaction post. And then I'm going to keep playing this video.
On my watch. So if I have to be willing to drastically transform myself so that I can become the woman that I know I can be.
Right.
And that's what I began to do. I was radical.
What did you do, Lisa? What did you do to change your life?
First, I realized I couldn't grow with people who were struggling like me. That whole I don't want to leave nobody behind. No, I don't want to stay with y'all.
Right.
You don't even want to be here. Like, I don't want to be the queen of this block.
Yeah.
And I became okay with the fact that it doesn't make me any less committed to my community, committed to my culture, committed to my family. The best thing I can do for you is not stay here with you.
That's right.
When I got that, I went to places I'd never seen before. I went to conferences where people were talking about money, talking about prosperity,
Yeah.
talking about, it was like, no habla español. What y'all talking about? ROIs and PPMs and term agreements and capital fundraising and bottom lines and what is it? I'm going to stay until I learn what you're talking about. I went to the same conference 42 times. And there I raised $532,000 in capital for my company, Start My Dream. And my dream was to transform teen lives. I want to teach teens how to fall madly in love with themselves and how to make integrity-based decisions. And I got it funded, and I started working. And that was the beginning of me rescuing myself. I realized that I am my rescue. No one else is my rescue. I am my rescue. So I was hungry.
If you understand this one concept, you can make a full-time income from home. And if you don't believe me, that's completely fine. You shouldn't when a guy screams at you on YouTube.
Like, I was hungry. People often want to call me the exception. Like, oh my God, you're the exception. No, I'm not the exception. I'm an average, ordinary woman who chose every day to make one more extraordinary decision. I'm an average, ordinary mom who said, I want to drastically transform my son's future. That he deserves to have every option that every other child would have, irregardless of what he was born into. I just was crazy enough to believe that. That it doesn't matter the color of my skin, doesn't matter my religious background, doesn't matter my origin, it doesn't matter my mom's bank account, my dad's bank account when I was born. None of that means my future. That's just the circumstance that I came from. That's not what defines my future. I just believe that. Not a lot validated it, but faith is believing in the unseen anyway. So I had enough faith to go, I know like I know like I know like I know. I don't necessarily have to see it yet. Christy talked about affirmations. Abundant thinkers understand the power of I am. Anything after the word I am is true to your unconscious mind. Like anything after I am. Anything after I am. Even if you know it's not true, your conscious mind will believe it. Anything after I am. So the use of affirmations is very intentional and very consistent. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed in 2001. 1998, I'm sorry. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed. Hey, it didn't make sense. I had been in a relationship, I was engaged to get married, and my fiance, who I did not know at the time, was bipolar. And he'd stopped taking his medicines under the belief system that love can cure anything. And so I ended up being picked up and thrown 3 feet across the room, and I ended up being choked until I passed out. And once I got out of that relationship, I just was different. It was different. So my mom insisted that I go to the doctor. I went to the doctor, and I sat on the table, and she checked me and talked to me and came back in with a prescription. And she said, Lisa, you're clinically depressed. And I felt like I heard Charlie Brown's parents talking like, wah, 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 wah. Clinically depressed, at least that'll make sense in that same sentence. And she handed me a prescription, and I read the prescription. It had my name on it, and it said Prozac. I thought, that don't make sense. Lisa Nichols, that don't make sense. And I said, do you mean I'm sad? She said, very, very sad. I said, can I try something? And I'm not recommending you guys, if you're on medication, you stop taking your meds. Please don't do that. I asked my doctor. She agreed. I said, do you mind if I try something before I take this? She goes, yes, but I need to see you back in 30 days. If you're in the same condition, I need us to try this medicine. I said, okay, I can do that. So I went home, and every day I got in the mirror and I drilled, I am, every day. Because I realized I have forgotten who I was. I just forgot. And it was okay to forget. I just forgot. So every day for 25 minutes, I just went over the I ams. Every day, I am. And then I paralleled that with I forgive you for. Then I paralleled that with I commit to you, Lisa, every single day. I went back in 30 days, and I'm talking to her, and I'm on fire. She's just looking at me. And I'm just talking. She twisted her head again, and I'm just talking. She says, wait, I got to stop you. I said, what? She goes, what are you taking? And can I have some? I was like, I'm taking some of me. And so the power of I am can pull you through the darkest moment, the power of I am.
Success is personally defined by everyone. And as you're creating success, create holistic success. My
Sorry, it's a bunch of clips of Lisa Nichols, and I love her, so
it's
a little choppy.
My 14-year-old son calls me his best friend to his friends. That's bigger than any book deal that you can give me. That's bigger than sitting across from Larry King or beside Oprah, that my 14-year-old son calls me his best friend. Creating holistic success is really important.
Let me tell you, in order to have something different, you are going to have to do something different. In order to have something more, you have to do something you haven't done yet. I had to say the things I didn't want to say, do the things I didn't feel like doing, to have the life I know I wanted. Period. And all I did was give instructions for here, do this bite size, do this bite size, do this bite size. Bite-sized, digestible, palatable pieces of what you can do. Does that sound good, you guys? And when you look up, and you don't have to have a magnificent change over 12 months, have a small change over 30 days, and a small change over 30 days, your breakthrough will come in needlepoint moves. And you'll look up in 5 years and not recognize your life.
What's been your biggest accomplishment, you think?
Bouncing back, number one, is refusing to listen to the negative chatter in my own head, refusing to listen to other people's perception of me, creating something from absolutely nothing. So I got there's the books, there's the TV, there's all that stuff. But my biggest accomplishment is being willing to give myself 1,000 second chances. And every time I got to $9.99, I pressed reset.
Yeah.
I didn't ask permission, I gave notice. At some point, I have to stop asking, can I be great? Can I be brilliant? Can I be okay and still be accepted? I just stopped asking permission and just gave notice unapologetically, not in a braggadocious way, not in a way that shrunk anyone else, in a way that said, I only got one life, and I'm going to ride this one till the wheels fall off. And then all the other stuff came.
Wow.
As a result of a decision I made.
Right. But it was a decision. It
was a decision. But it didn't come from, a motivational experience. It didn't come from an inspiring teacher. It came from hitting rock bottom. There's so much value in what you unlearn. Sometimes the best thing you can do is unlearn some things. We're all always going after learning something new, because we're information junkies, because we have all these forms of information coming at us on the internet, coming at us in books, coming at us on the radio, coming at us in television, that we want to learn. But sometimes your biggest breakthrough is in what you unlearn, and then you relearn. Sometimes you have to disrupt your soil, pull your soil up, take that dry dirt that's been planted for years. I know, I've just been knowing this for years. This is what my mother taught me. This is what we've always known. You have to disrupt that.
Okay. So task 4 is going to be messaging all your old LCs, current LCs. I've been using this base of a message, and I've been altering it to include perk points to recommend new products based on what they've already been ordering or had ordered. And I'm hitting people from when I first started in 2016 who ordered for 3 months and then stopped. And I've gotten about 3 people this week just to order who haven't ordered in years. So this message is working. I'm going to try and copy and paste it here into the chat. We're going to use this. We're going to do this for about 15 minutes since it is the 25th of the month. And so we're going to focus on this a bit. I'm going to try and get that message posted. It's my base, but like I said, I've altered it to include what their perk points are, if they have any. If they're old and haven't ordered in a long time, look at what they were ordering before and recommend different things. But let me get that pasted in here. Sorry, it was on my phone and I'm on my laptop, so I'm trying to get it situated. Give me a second. So definitely read through this. This has been what's been helping, but again, make it yours. Let me see if that posted right. Yeah, definitely make sure you change your name because I'm Jess. You're not Jess. And then I've been saying, I know you have a ton of other things going on, but since you're one of my favorite or former VIP customers, or if they're currently ordering, just say VIP customer. I had to let you know we just came out with a new product, the pumpkin spice coffee. Announced for a limited time. We also released the super reds and the just celery. And then that's when I have been adding to, like, you currently have this many perk points. You could use any of these. You get this many dollars off, or this much dollar, this much dollar. You know what I mean? That much off. And then don't forget, if they've completed the 3 months, they get the 40% off. And again, this has gotten me 3 new, not new, but 3 of my former LCs to order again. And one of them was way back from 2016, who literally did the 3 months, and that was it, and just ordered like 80 BVs. So we're going to work on that for 15 minutes, and I'll still play my Lisa Nichols because she's great.
Soil in order to plant a new seed to grow a new fruit. Yeah? You guys got that? And so I came very comfortably to disrupt your soil. Like, that's what I came for, to disrupt your soil. Not to necessarily keep you comfortable in what you know. Stay comfortable in that. I want to disrupt you in some things that are new awareness to go, oh, wait, hold on. Or new awareness of.
Also, I wanted to add too, sorry, if you don't have them on the Connect app, your customers, your former ones, or if you don't have them updated, a lot of times I couldn't find them on Facebook and they're not in my Connect app, so I text them. I literally sent that text. So in eSuite, you can find their phone number, let them know. That's why it's definitely, you let them know who you are in that first little bit of a message so they know, and go through there. So I was texting, I was emailing, and I was sending it through Facebook if I can find them in my Connect app. If not, I try and add them. If I know who they are for sure on Facebook, I add them in the Connect app so that way I have them for later.
About what you've been doing based on what you've known forever that doesn't fit your future anymore. Because I can guarantee you, every single one of us who wants something different than what we're getting, we're doing something unconsciously from old patterns that doesn't even serve our future. That's when the tongue in your mouth and the tongue in your shoe are going in 2 totally different directions. And your job is to align them up so that you can move forward in a powerful way. Every single thing you touch is impacted by your story. As an attorney, as a teacher, as an architect, there's not one line of business that you can be in that a story, and a great story, won't elevate your outcome. Every single line of business, every single line of service that you're connected to will be impacted and ideally elevated by the level in which you're willing to tell and share your story. So let me give you some guidelines, some parameters, what I like to call the bumper rails, as if you're going bowling. You know, when I go bowling, I ask them to put the little bumper rails down so I can step, my ball can get down the lane. So let me set up some bumper rails for you so that you understand what makes a great story. So one is the willingness to take risk. Most people, Vishen, when they're telling a story, they don't want to take a risk, so the story has its limits on how high it'll go or how deep it'll go. And when you have that, then you're really not at that part that's going to touch my soul. So being willing to take a risk, being clear and concise with your stories. A great story is a show me story, not a tell me story. Now, this is the distinction that's the game changer for most. Most people are telling a story. They say, so let me just share with you a little bit of my story, and I'll tell you and then I'll show you. So as I was building my life, there was a time in my life that was very difficult. It was very challenging. True story.
very difficult, very challenging, very uncomfortable. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of hope, and things just looked dismal. At some point, I had to turn my life around. At some point, I made the decision that life had to get better. I'm telling you that. It's decent. You learn about me. Then if I were to show you that story, I would say 6 days a week, I had to eat beanies and weenies. I had to find money in the crevices and the corners of my couch so that I can get my son milk. There were times when my heart would beat fast just at what am I going to have tomorrow? At some point, I got sick and tired of my own story. Is this going to be my future? No, I can't handle it. Notice the difference in that second story.
I completely see that.
I just painted a picture, same story. Now the second one, when you show a story, it's going to require more of you. It's going to require you to find the colors. What were you thinking? What were you experiencing? What was going on in your head? Instead of telling me you look for money, turn and point. Now this is anywhere. This is anywhere you are doing anything. I promise you, you become a great storyteller and you will captivate your audience no matter what you're doing. I've captivated investors. I've captivated students. I've captivated educators because I was willing to show the story. I call it unpacking the story vision. Being willing to tell me, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were you seeing? Think about a story as an oral movie. And so in an oral movie, think when you're looking at a movie, the first thing they do is they identify what state of time it is. Is it futuristic? Is it in the now? Was it back in the day? You notice that based on what people are wearing, how they're talking. So paint that picture for me. Take me to that environment. Set the backdrop up for me. Show me what you're going through. Instead of saying I was angry, you can tell me you were angry. But when you say the hair on the back of my neck was standing up, I felt the fumes exiting my nose. I thought that my chest was going to pop and I was going to say something that I'd regret forever. Ooh, you just showed me you were angry. Take that extra time to unpack it. Why will most people not do that? Because it requires a level of vulnerability that we're not willing to share.
Myth number 2 is that abundance is singularly focused on possessions and money. Right? It's all about what you drive, what you live in, how much money you make. When in fact, this couldn't be further from the truth. Wealth is possessions and money. Abundance is a 360 experience. Abundance is a 360 experience. True abundance is your health, because if you don't have great health, life does not feel good. Abundance is relationship, and at the end of your life, literally, you will measure the quality of your life by the quality of the relationships you have. All the other stuff will fall away. That promotion you're thinking about, you're wondering about that raise, it will fall away in the area of importance when you get to the end of your life. You will begin to look at the quality of your relationships, how your children relating to you, how your siblings relate to you. Do you have love in your life? You literally will start looking at relationships at a higher level as you get older. So when you mind them now, you take care of them. And I know that for a fact. I have a friend who's worth $14 billion. Billion with a B. He was just partying at my house all night long, wouldn't leave 4 a.m, go home. And he flew in from Canada to go to my New Year's party because he loves my family connection. And he doesn't have one. He is financially wealthy. He's relationship broke. Does that make sense? Abundance is a 360 experience. It's about relationships. It's about health. It's about your spiritual groundedness. That doesn't mean you have a religious origin. It's about, can you release? Can you forgive? Can you let go? Can you be still? Do you meditate? Do you have time with yourself? That has a lot to do with the quality of your life, that ability. And I have a message for you, a very important message. We live in a world where, limiting beliefs and limited thinking is accepted. And in some environments, it's actually encouraged. Not to put anyone down or any institution down, but look at our educational system. It's bound by who you can be, who you can't be. We're taught that, as an academic excellence student, you are expected to achieve more pressures. But yet, even inside that more, that higher achievement, there's still a limiting belief there. I look at my life today, and it's barely recognized. I'm grateful to say I have 6 bestsellers. I've sat with Oprah, with Larry King on CNN, Good Day LA. I've traveled all over the world did work in Taipei and Africa and Kazakhstan, but that wasn't where I started. I started struggling for 12 years in the educational system, not thinking I was good enough. The word fail or not pass was threaded through every year in school in some area or another. And so I graduated or got out. I mean, I graduated, but what did I graduate to? I graduated more of who I think I might be able to be or who I could be, but not my possibility. I look up and for the first 10, 15 years of my adulthood, I struggled. I struggled because I didn't dream big enough at that time. I didn't know. I felt like my dreams were covered and smothered with the cultural limitations, were defined by who our parents were, what our culture can do, what our community can do. So you look at all the areas of our lives, financially, mentally, emotionally, family, geographically, and all of those things kind of put us in a box. Some of our boxes are this big, so we think they're amazing. Some of them are this big, and we know they're choking the life out of us. The reality is, we're trained to be realistic, to be logical, to stay practical. And there's nothing realistic and logical about Steve Jobs and his journey. There's nothing realistic and logical about Dr. Martin Luther King and his willingness to be radical for change that none of us saw coming. There's nothing realistic about Nelson Mandela leaving prison after 27 years and leading the largest forgiveness movement ever. There's nothing realistic and logical about even my journey. Born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, having 3 fights a week just to get home from school. Being told that I was the weakest writer my teacher had ever met and that I should never speak in public by my speech teacher. To looking at my life today and going on and having a child before I got married and getting on government's assistance just to feed my baby, not having money to buy a Pampers, and wrapping my son in a towel for 3 days until I can afford to get money to buy a Pampers. I look at my life and I wasn't supposed to be who I am today. Something turned, but it didn't come from outside. It didn't come from my culture or my community. It came from within. Who I was committed to transforming my life into just didn't fit. It didn't fit realistic. It didn't fit practical, and it didn't fit logical. I didn't know how I was going to get there. There were no examples of how I would get there. There was no instructions. There was no GPS. And there wasn't even anyone around me that had an idea of how to help me. All there was my intuition, my internal GPS, my internal God placement system, and the will and the desire and the big dream inside my belly. And I was willing to keep at it until I birthed something greater than myself. In order to live the life you love and love the life you live, you have to be willing to step on the other side of normal, on the other side of where people give you permission to step. You have to be willing to step on the other side of realistic. You have to be willing to dream big and give yourself a radical chance for a radical future and a breathtaking possibility. It starts with you, I promise.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I made this video because Charmaine Robinson asked me to. So if there's a famous entrepreneur that you want me to profile next, leave in the comments below.
Okay, I'll get another one playing, but let me get, we're about done anyway with that task. Task 5 is going to be interact on your letter of the day. Today, if you are following Jackie's letter of the day, it is C. Just kidding, it is V. I was looking at the wrong one. But V is in Victor. I don't have a lot of V's, so I will go to the ones that I have not had enough time to go interact with. So I go interact with them. I comment on the last couple posts they've done, or send them a message and just say, hey, how's it going? Or if they want to do a host a post. So interaction can be all the things. So we're going to do that for about 10 minutes while I find another video.
I was walking away from the cafe where I'd been working.
Oh, sorry.
That's for women entrepreneurs.
I'm a very curious person, and that curiosity really is, I think, at the basis for all the kinds of things that I like to try and experiment with and attempt, and we have a good time doing it. It's not so much being driven as much as being interested in a lot of different things.
The way through the challenge is to get still and ask yourself, what is the next right move? Not think about, oh, I got all of this to do. What is the next right move? And then from that space, make the next right move and the next right move. And not to be overwhelmed by it because you know your life is bigger than that one moment. You know you're not defined by what somebody says is a failure for you, because failure is just there to point you in a different direction.
Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected. I also found out that I had friends whose value was truly above the price of rubies. The knowledge that you have emerged wiser and stronger from setbacks means that you are, ever after, secure in your ability to survive. You will never truly know yourself or the strength of your relationships until both have been tested by adversity. Such knowledge is a true gift, for all that it is painfully won, and it has been worth more than any qualification I ever earned.
I played a lot of sports when I was younger, and I settled on soccer because the 99 team really motivated me. My dad would go out on the soccer field with me every day, and it pushed myself in a good way and motivated me to be the best I could be. Soccer was just my thing, and I wanted to make it to the U.S. women's national team. My favorite goal was against Italy. I scored in probably the 93rd minute, and I think that's one of the best parts of my game is my finishing. Everyone has their talent, but it's what you do with that talent to make it great.
Everything that I've done, I've worked so hard from until my toes are bleeding and no complaints. So it takes so much hard work. And I think the more you have to work for something, the more you cherish it. And every time I think about doing something silly or something that's going to be detrimental to my career that I built, I think about all that time I've sacrificed in my childhood and my family and all the people that worked so hard. And I could never disrespect all that I worked for. I could never disrespect my fans. I could never disrespect the opportunity that I've been given.
When you develop your business plan, don't be afraid to write everything down, everything that comes into your mind. Because ultimately, if you have a good business plan, well thought out, well designed, carried out for a year or two or three, you can start to follow that plan in an orderly fashion. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always turn out the way you think it's going to turn out. You might stumble or trip or fall in a gully. But if you have the plan, you can get up and continue on your path.
Nothing about my life is lucky. Nothing. A lot of grace, a lot of blessings, a lot of divine order. But I don't believe in luck. For me, luck is preparation, meeting the moment of opportunity. There is no luck without you being prepared to handle that moment of opportunity. And so what I would say for myself is that because of my hand in a hand and a force greater than my own, I have been prepared in ways that I didn't even know I was being prepared for. And the truth is, for me and for every person, every single thing that has ever happened in your life is preparing you for the moment that is to come.
I was on the train from Manchester to London, and it just came. Had something like that ever happened to you before? Yes, truthfully. I mean, after I ideas have just come to me, because I think if you're a writer and that's what you spend a huge amount of time doing, ideas do come to you. But nothing had ever come so with such a, I had this, I thought, God, I'd love to write that. And when I got off the train, I went straight home and I started writing.
I'm not worried about my future, about what I'm going to do in 10 years after soccer. It's about right now, you know, how I can contribute to the team's success, how I can make sure that, you know, I'm physically, mentally ready for each game. So it's really just taking it day by day and knowing that, you know, the future is so uncertain. You just need to be happy where you are right now and just have a positive outlook on it.
I'm competitive really with myself.
Right.
Honestly, like every time I start an album, I go and watch all of my performances, and I try to figure out, okay, what is it that I could have done better, and what worked. And really, my references, I go back to myself and try to better myself. So I'm really tough on me, more so than anyone else. I'm not a competitive person that walks in thinking about other people and how I can compete with them, especially not my husband.
I really encourage them, if they have a great idea, to run with it. Find ways to finance, find ways to build, find ways to market.
You don't have to hold yourself hostage to who you used to be or anything you ever used to do. Because who has lived and hasn't made mistakes? When I think about my 20s and what a foolish girl I was, and how I would give over my power to men who really didn't mean me well, but now I hold no grudges against them either, because I realized I'm the one who gave over the power because I didn't know any better. And now that I know better, I know I don't have to do that again. It's one of the most powerful lessons any of us can ever know.
It is one of the amazing and wonderful things about literature, as about film and music, is it's utterly subjective. So that's the point of it. You know, that's the point. Of course, you move in that world. If you expect to just stand under a shower of perpetual praise, there's something wrong with you.
Exactly right.
That, you know, you will get criticism. I knew that going in. And the funny thing is, I'm not a particularly... I was never a very confident person. In there are areas in my life in which I'm very thin-skinned, but not in this area. In this area, I think it's right and proper. I should be criticised, and that's
And can you
literature.
learn?
So in the morning, I get a good night's sleep, and then in the mornings, I try and get out here on Alki, just kind of walk around. It's just a really beautiful place to kind of start your morning and have a positive mentality going into your day. Yoga definitely fits into my life in terms of preparation. It's great just to have that sense of feeling at ease with yourself. Stretching is a huge part of soccer and making sure that, you know, you're pretty flexible. And I just love the feeling of kind of being alone a little bit and being able to take my mind off of soccer. But at the same time, the reason I go to yoga is to help me succeed in soccer.
I always was a creative child, and my parents encouraged it. And I always was doing something creative, whether it was writing songs or poems or making clothes or dancing, putting on shows, whatever. It was something creative. I think that's so wonderful for kids. I think it gives you so much confidence, and you just feel so good about yourself. You feel like you can accomplish anything, and creativity can't be judged. So it's great for self-esteem for kids.
Once you develop a large customer base, and we reach about 100 million people every month from all our various businesses, our books, our magazines, our television, and once you develop that kind of close rapport, they have already a feeling that I'm providing them with things they want. So it's very important.
All right, guys. Task number 6 is going to be go interact in all your new groups. I've been adding myself to quite a bit of groups and removing myself from groups I didn't even know I was in. But before removing myself, if I know I'm not going to be active, I go add people from that group. And then I leave it. So go go interact on your groups. If you don't want to add yourself to anymore, or if you are not in a lot of them, go add yourself to some. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, we're gonna do that for a few more minutes, or for 10 minutes. I can talk, I promise you guys.
To engender trust with your customer. If you disappoint them, I mean, if you make something that falls apart, forget it. You don't get that customer back again. And all I want to do is grow my customer base. I want to be where that customer needs and wants. I say to my girls all of the time that your real work is to figure out where your power base is and to work on the alignment of your personality, your gifts that you have to give, with the real reason why you're here. That's the number one thing you have to do, is to work on yourself and to fill yourself up and keep your cup full. Keep yourself full. Now, I used to be afraid of that. I used to be afraid, particularly for people who say, oh, she's so full of herself. She's so full of herself. And now I embrace it. I consider it a compliment that I am full of myself. Because only when you're full, I'm overflowing. My cup runneth over. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And I am not afraid of honoring myself. You know, it's miraculous when you think about it.
You want to sit there?
Mm-hmm. This is really the room. Well, I finished once was going here. This is really where I turned my life around. Completely. I mean, my life changed so much in this flat. I feel I really became myself here. In that everything was stripped away. I've made such a mess of things. But that was freeing. So I just thought, well, I want to write. So I wrote the book. And what is the worst that can happen? It gets turned up by every publisher or anything. So, you know, it's really back to the whole time here. My bedroom's a lot, my bedroom, the bedroom is a lot tidier now. God, that's mad. This was a tip when I lived in. Oh, look, Harry Potter books. Now that's really freaky. And for years now, I felt like if it all disappeared, and some days I do feel like, is it real? Then this is where I would come back to, you know, this would be my baseline, I'd be back in me. And obviously if I'd known that 10 years old, I'd come back here with a film crew, and there would be my published books in someone else's bookcase in this room. I mean, it's really incredible to me. It really did. I mean, yes. Because it's such a well-worn part of my story now, it's a big yawn to hear how I wrote it, as though it was all some sort of publicity stunt I did for a year. But it was my life, and it was very hard. And I didn't know there was going to be this fairy tale resolution. And I coming back here was just full of ghosts.
I didn't expect when I sprained my ankle back in late October, that it would come to this. And that was the hardest part for me, was kind of doubting myself, like, well, you know, why didn't I take it easier? Why didn't I kind of pull myself out of training or out of the game? But you can't look back. You kind of just need to look forward. It was definitely hard, but I feel like now that I'm actually seeing improvement, we just got an MRI, it kind of helps me a little bit mentally to be able to bike a little bit, to be able to swim. I wasn't able to do anything on crutches. So now knowing that there's improvement, I'm able to do some stuff, I feel a lot more, happy.
Progression as an artist is the most important thing for me. That is what success is for me. I feel like if I stay in one spot, I'm not doing my job. I'm not growing as a human being, and I'm wasting time. And I feel like I always want to do something different from what I did in the past. I always want to challenge myself. I always want to have that nervous ball in my stomach before I go on the stage. That's how I know I'm doing the right job, and it's something still exciting for me. And I always want to challenge the music industry. I feel like it's kind of my job to create the new up-tempos. It's kind of my job to set the tone and to be the example. So it's sometimes risky, but it's the only reason I've been able to last for as long as I have in this industry, because it's really short-lived. And I feel like if people can predict your next move, it's just not interesting, and I'll be bored. So I'm bored. If I'm bored, everyone else is bored.
Every business has, and I don't like to think of things as obstacles all the time. I like to think of them as challenges to be solved and problems to be dealt with.
I would say to my team, well, doesn't matter, because every season somebody else was coming out. 1 talk show, 2 talk shows, 3 talk shows. There have been over 100 talk shows since we started. But every time I would feel like, all right, got to step up our game. The way you step up your game is not to worry about the other guy in any situation, because you can't control the other guy. You cannot control the other guy. You only have control over yourself. So it's like running a race. The energy that it takes to look back and see where the other guys are takes energy away from you. And if they're too close, it scares you. So that's what I would say to my team all the time. Don't waste your time in the race looking back to see where the other guy is or what the other guy is doing. It's not about the other guy. It's about what can you do. You just need to run that race as hard as you can. You need to give it everything you've got all the time for yourself.
I remember once, and it was like I'm going to call it a flash of clairvoyance now. Obviously, if it hadn't come true, I would just be some random crazy thought I had. But I do remember one day, writing Philosopher's Stone, I was walking away from the cafe where I'd been working.
Philosopher's Stone, which became
Sorcerer's Stone, exactly. So that's the first novel. And I had this moment where I suddenly thought, it was like another voice speaking to me, and the voice said, the difficult thing's going to be to get published. If it's published, it will be huge.
Wow.
And that is exactly what it was.
So there was some hint that
Jackie, right now we're working on interacting in groups or adding yourself to groups.
yes.
You know, I was not the world's most secure person. I wasn't someone with an enormous amount of, in fact, I'd say I was someone with not much self-belief at all. And yet there's one thing in my life I believed. That was the one thing in my life. I felt I can tell a story.
Before every game, the key to my preparation is consistency. I really think that every athlete is a little bit superstitious, and if an athlete tells you otherwise, I think they're lying. So yes, I do a couple of things. I definitely put on my right sock before my left sock, and I like to take a nap at the same time and eat the same things. And then right before the game, I like to do a lot of mental visualization. So I'll go in a locker and just put on headphones and just imagine myself in the game.
I would say to continue to work hard and don't give up on your goals. And I know for me, like I said, I grew up watching my family struggle, and I grew up with a family that was successful but not born successful. And I believe with hard work and with a goal and love and positivity, then eventually we're going to be fine.
When I started the business, the Martha Stewart Living on the Media, our 2 words were inspire and inform. So you create the beautiful picture, you create the lifestyle that you think everybody would aspire to, and then you have to tell them that. So that's the teaching part. And to be that inspirer, that inspiration, you have to know a lot. You can't fake it. So I learn every single day. One of my mottos is learn something new every day. And I do. So it's all about informing yourself so that you can be a good teacher.
My grandmother was a maid. That's all she ever.
All right, task number 7 is going to be add to your story again. If you did a personal post earlier, do a business post or a product post or a boomerang or before and after. I like to do my stories. If I'm home, I'm trying to set an alarm to do them every hour to 2 hours. And that way it's just a constant story because they only stay up for 24 hours and it's throughout the day. So you definitely want to have a story because people are like all about the stories right now. If you want to do a poll, if you want to make it fun and interactive, use the little things that you can do. Facebook's getting way cooler about their stories and what you can do, and little things you can add, but I still love Instagram. So I'll do it in Instagram first, and then later in the day, use my Instagram story and Facebook. I don't ever do them at the same time, or the same one at the same time. So I kind of switch it up, but we're going to do that for 5 minutes.
Renew. The only real expectation she held for me was that I would one day become a maid and, in her words, have some good white folks, meaning people who would not speak negatively about me, who would allow me to take food home, who would be good to me, would treat me with some level of dignity and respect. That was my grandmother's dream for me. But I had another dream for myself, another more than a dream. I had a belief for myself. And I remember watching her hang out clothes on a line one day and say to me, you have to watch me, Gail, because one day you'll have to do this for yourself. And knowing inside myself that that was not going to be my life. Don't know how I knew it, other than that thing that we all have, intuition or an instinct that said, no, this will not be my life. But because I sensed that and was connected to that, and I remember it was a very still moment. It was quiet, and I was still, and I was watching her. I could see her right now with the clothespins in her mouth and putting them on the line and seeing the breath, because it was cold, the moisture coming from her lips. And I knew that that would not be my life. I knew that I will not be hanging clothes on a line in a backyard in Mississippi. So I was either 4 or 5 years old. And that belief that that would not be my life is what I held on to for the longest of times. I just, no matter what, believed that there was something bigger, greater, more for me.
There's always trepidation. I mean, I think that people might be surprised to know that I felt trepidation every time I produced a Potter book. You know, the weight of expectation there was I won't say crushing. It was extraordinary and wonderful to have that weight of expectation. But at times, yeah, and with the expectations latterly of millions of fans, all of whom were very invested in the story and wanted to see what they wanted to see, and I knew where I was going, and I had to put on mental blinkers a lot to just think, I know where I'm going. I must not be influenced by this.
When people ask me how I balance non-soccer stuff with things off the field, I think I've been more confident in the last couple of years with the decisions I make and the opportunities that are given, and the decisions whether to go through with it or not. If it's authentic to who I am, and whether it's a company I'm representing, or whether it's an event I'm going to, or whether it's a photo shoot that I've been asked to do. I think it's just weighing all of the things and making sure that nothing's standing in the way of what I do best and what I'm here for, and that's to play soccer.
I think a star is born a star. Absolutely. I think, I know me, I was born to do what I do. It's just too natural. There's certain things that I know no one taught me. No one can teach you. It's just, you are. And I feel like we all are stars. We all have that. We just have to figure out what that thing is that we're supposed to be doing in life. And I know that for me to know exactly what I was born to do at such a young age is why I've been able to do what I do as well as I do it, because I've been doing it for a really long time and I'm doing the right thing.
Have you ever cried in business ever for your entire career?
Cried?
Yes.
No, I refuse.
How do you, well, I think it's
I
interesting.
cry, but I don't cry in business.
You don't cry in business?
No, I don't think business is worth crying over. I think you have to, again, concentrate on business. You can build your business. You can help others build businesses, and it's business. It's not about emotion. It's about really going for it. You can be passionate. That's the only emotion I allow in my business. I always understood that there really was no difference between me and the audience. At times, I might have had better shoes, but at the core of what really matters, that we are the same. Do you know how I know that? because all of us are seeking the same thing. You're here at this fabulous school, and we'll go out into the world and each pursue based upon what you believe your talents are, what your skills are, maybe your gifts are, but you're seeking the same thing. Everybody wants to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. That's what you're looking for. The highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. And because I understand that, I understand that if you're working in a bakery and that's where you want to be, and that may be what you've always wanted to do, is to bake pies for people or bake cakes for people or to offer your gift, then that's for you. There's no difference between you and me, except that's your platform, that's your show every day. So my understanding of that has allowed me to reach everyone, and there's no way that you wouldn't, because that's what I truly feel.
Given a time, Turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement. Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes.
All right, guys, as we close up, I'm going to give you the last 2 tasks, and you can do these throughout the day, but task 8 is going to be add friends. Definitely add friends every single day. And then task 9 is go live sometime today about anything. Jackie and I went live earlier about me being tired and coffee, and there was an echo, and it was silly, but it still happened, and it was me literally making coffee because I'm dying. So make it a point to go live. It doesn't have to be long. And make sure you add friends, and make sure you get a screenshot for Lauren's entry in her 90-day challenge. And yeah, I will have this recording up too and put it in Chasing and all the other groups that I can. So thanks for being on. I appreciate you all. Bye, guys.